Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. We've talked about this before, but not in this way. And this comes up a lot. Anxiety. Many of us suffer from anxiety. Since COVID, it's escalated in humans. We're going to focus on anxiety in our animals. Yeah, they do suffer. They are challenged by it. You might not even know it. She actually does. She's an animal communicator, and she's back with us. Holly Starr joins us on the program. How you doing today?
Great today. How are you doing?
Very well. I'm loving that we're talking about this. I've got my dog suffers from minimal anxiety,
Mhm.
especially with fireworks. That's, that right away. And I think that's kind of general for a lot of animals, especially dogs.
Yes.
But it goes deeper than that. I mean, there are people that for years have used Prozac on their pets because they suffer from anxiety. Tell me about some of the things you've encountered when working with animals.
Yeah. So I completely agree with you that, over the course of a long period of time now, anxiety has just grown and grown and grown in our pets. And from what I've seen, I attribute it to a few different things in our world that has grown and changed over time. So, number one being that our pets are overbred. There are way too many dogs, way too many cats out there, and they're being taken for granted. People will adopt them as puppies and they're too
Hmm.
excitable. So they bring them to the shelter or they adopt them as puppies and they grow bigger than they were expecting and they bring them to the shelter. And the cycle just continues. So we have more and more of these dogs and cats being abandoned in the shelters at rescues and things like that and going through these emotionally traumatic situations. And they're left with anxiety. They're left with those abandonment issues, that disconnect of who am I and
Hmm.
who am I in this world and how do others see me? There is a disconnect that happens when that trauma happens and they're not given a chance to talk about it and release it out. Now, I do also think that the climate anxiety with us humans also has an effect on our pets as well. Our pets are in our energy bubbles every single day, all day long, especially now. A lot of us work from home, so they're around us even more. And
Wow.
none of us want to put that anxiety on our pets. It happens though. And it happens just in the same way that the other people within the house will experience and take on some of our own anxiety and stressors and things like that from family members. Pets do the exact same thing. Um, and so those are the two biggest
Wow.
areas that I
Huh.
see. Yeah, go ahead.
I never even thought of that if you're suffering from anxiety, that your pet is picking up on it and probably is suffering too. I don't know. I don't like using the word suffering, but if you're challenged by anxiety, uh, and and because our animals are so in tune with energy
Mhm.
that they can receive what you're sending intentionally or not,
Yep.
and then internalize it, and then things crop up. How does it present itself in animals? Sure, fireworks go off, dog freaks out. I mean, mine even days after, the 4th of July, weeks after,
Oh gosh.
like, please, people, we're done. We don't have to keep
Yes.
doing that. He's like, even in the distance, I'm walking him, I can barely hear.
Hmm.
And he's like, right away, he's like, turns around, he's like, wants to head back home. He knows which way back
Yes.
home. And he's just like, let's go. And he loves being outside,
Hmm.
but they can hear it so loud. Um,
Yep.
That's one way, obvious anxiety being displayed there. What are some of the other ways? There's health issues that crop up as well.
Oh, yes. So, I mean, we see the behavioral side of anxiety, the physical things that we can observe. So, obviously, like panting, pacing, all of that stuff that hopefully pet owners know, like this is signs of anxiety. But it also goes in, so anxiety is mental, which obviously affects our emotional. And then our emotional state, when we stay in a state of frequent anxiety and stress all the time, that can turn into physical ailments down the road. So any of those illnesses that are cropping up and becoming more of a chronic issue, this is anxiety. Actually, as I'm speaking, I'm realizing one of my dogs had this happen. So first 2 years of her being with us, we adopted her from the shelter, so she comes with all that baggage and, yes,
Mm.
anxiety. So we went through a huge process of helping her out of that. We got her to a certain point and couldn't quite go further with her getting out of that anxiety state. And what happened was all throughout that time, for the first 2 years, constant ear infections. I mean, around the
Wow.
clock, cycling through the medication, through the flushes and everything. 2 years in, a stray dog came to our house, and we helped her out and ended up adopting her. The anxiety in our first dog went down again, and the ear infections completely went away
Wow.
for 7 years until the second dog passed away. She got one more ear infection within a week after she passed away. And it just was a very prime example of emotions play a role in our physicality and in our health. It's just fact.
And when you say our, you also mean our pets.
Yes, all of us.
Yeah. Wow. Um, Now we talked about just a moment ago energy and how they pick up on it. Um, let's talk about therapy, using energy to help them heal from anxiety.
Yeah, heal and manage it. So when I do energy therapy with pets who have anxiety, I'm really focusing on making sure that we find a point that they can completely balance out their chakra energy system and keep it balanced out. So, oftentimes with animals with anxiety, we do go through several different sessions and spacing them out, say 1 week at a time, then 2 weeks, and 3 weeks, and 4 weeks. And we finally come to a place where they are finally able to really hold that balance in and of themselves. So some of the chakras within our energy system, I mean, they come into that anxiety piece fully. So the root chakra plays a role in our groundedness, our sense of safety, and things like that. So those traumas that have to do with I was abused or
Mm.
those kinds of things. So the root chakra now has this hard time feeling like it's safe for very obvious reasons from the past. um the solar plexus has to do with our self-confidence and things like that. So when an animal has low
Uh,
self-esteem, low self-confidence, we find
huh.
issues with that one,
I would not even
and so
think.
forth.
I would never even think to use those words to describe an animal lacking self-confidence and all of that.
Yeah. Yep. Until you talk to them directly, I didn't think in those terms necessarily either before learning communication and starting to talk to so many of them. And I realized, oh my gosh, I mean, their emotions and their capacity for everything goes much deeper than us. And it's everything we can feel and then deeper.
Wow. Which I can understand because they're so tuned in to energy
Yeah,
because they're not worrying about the stuff we're worrying about, paying the
correct.
mortgage, getting the car fixed, dropping the kids off, doing all of that. They just have, minimal function,
Yes. I
loving
mean, in a
their own.
sense, they are freeloading off of us in our houses.
Well, sure. Yeah, they are. They don't have to worry about anything. It's
Yeah.
pleasing their person,
Yes.
eating and going to the bathroom and
Yep.
sleeping. And that's it.
Yep.
So when you have nothing else to worry about, you're plugged into everything going on
Yes.
visually, emotionally, energetically.
Yes. And
Hmm.
they are very big on their own purpose in life as well. So with anxiety, it's like, I mean, you can see how anxiety can just block that purpose from being able to move forward in their fullest potential. So coming back to their energy system, another thing that I see, so, we've all seen the energy diagram where the person is standing and there's a whole line from universe down their body into the ground. Have you
Hmm.
seen that?
Sure.
Yeah. So if you envision, let's say a dog standing up on its hind legs, just like that picture, that line going all the way down, extending further than the body, is called the hara, and this is like the midline. And when the hara gets out of alignment, all the other chakras go along the hara. So if the hara is out of alignment, the chakras can't stay in place and in balance. So when I find that the hara is out of alignment, it's usually because of a very big trauma, emotionally or physically, that's happened, and now we need to get that hara back into alignment.
Wow. And how do you do that? Is that basically by doing a chakra balancing?
It's a hara balance.
Oh,
Yeah, but it is energy therapy. So I do healing touch for animals, and there's a technique within that balance out and align the hara, and then we make sure that the individual chakras are balanced out from there.
wow. I'm not aware of that, the horror.
Yes, yes. You may have heard, different energy modalities might use different terms at times. So you may have heard it used as a different actual term. But
What
yeah.
would be interchangeable with that? Things that we may have heard that mean the same thing as that. Is there others?
Yeah, like the other one that I've heard is a meridian. That one you may have heard as well.
Or I've heard the word used, so maybe that's what it was applied to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So kind of like a bigger line of energy.
Hmm. Um, I would assume that that's something that people can get alignment well. It's not exclusive to animals, right?
No, no, no.
Okay.
People, yes. And I highly suggest having your own energy therapy sessions as well.
Yeah. So something else I want to look into, the other healing techniques. You're big on essential oils.
Yes, I am.
Do tell.
Yes. So, since we're talking about anxiety, I'll use that as the example. But of course, you can use essential oils for any type of thing with your pet. Now, number one thing, I only recommend the Young Living essential oils. Those are used by holistic pets. The research is there, the safety is there. You do not want to go the inexpensive route for your animals when you're using essential oils, because there are many, many companies that put additives in, and this is not
Wow.
looked at by the FDA. So they can add stuff in and get away with that, okay? But it is not safe for our animals. So only Young Living, because we know that those are safe. Um, so with that being said, for anxiety, they have a feelings kit. And I love the feelings kit, especially for the animals who have those bigger past traumas. They've been abandoned, they've been abused, and things are just lingering and they can't quite release it. So the feelings kit has about 6 different blends. And so it's hitting them at all these different areas, support of releasing those traumas out, support of your self confidence, your inner child, your ability to stay grounded and in the present moment. So that one's wonderful for that. Other pets who have, maybe they don't have like the biggest traumas out there, or whatever you want to say, but they do still have those anxious times and they need help with that. I suggest doing what's called a raindrop with essential oils. And so a raindrop is essentially a technique of application of multiple different oils along the animal's spine. Um, Now, so for anxiety, I always recommend people get some form of frankincense. Frankincense is like number one in my book for animals. Every single pet I have seen it used on is like, I feel so much better. So I
Hmm.
always start with some form of frankincense, and then moving to a type of citrus oil. So your lemon, your tangerine, orange, grapefruit, one of those to help with that uplifting side that you need with anxiety. And then balancing that out with a grounding type of oil. Usually they smell more like woody and stuff like that.
So, question on that: Are
Mm-hmm.
where is the oil going? Is it being ingested? Is it just they're smelling it? It's
Right. So depending on the oil, depending on the animal, that will give you your application technique. Some will be petted on, some will be ingested, some are put into water, diffused. The raindrop technique, which I mentioned, that is dropped about 6 inches above the spine, and you drop the oil, and then you'll stroke the oil in along the spine on the animal's fur.
okay. So many animals are very particular about stuff on them and around them. Is this
Yes.
gonna, is your dog gonna be like, like, what the heck's back there? I don't know if I like that.
Right. So if they end up licking it, it's safe.
Sure.
They're okay to do that. But basically we start off low and slow. So if you have, say, a 40-pound dog, I would recommend putting 4 drops along the spine for that raindrop. But we would start by letting them sniff the bottle. Test out the smell. What do you think of it? And go from there. And then start with 1 or 2 drops
Okay.
and give them like a mini raindrop. And then you build up. But the raindrops, I mean, the dogs, all of the smells and all of the healing effects of all of them combine. And I mean, most dogs are asleep by the end of a raindrop. It's
Really?
hilarious and it's awesome to see because they just relax into it, and you're stroking up their spine and it's just so nice. Now with cats, most cats will need the raindrop oils to be combined into a bottle as a blend, and then you put it on your hand and you pet it onto them.
You are a big proponent of essential oils.
Yeah, yeah. I've seen them do a lot of really great healing, and that emotional side that I'm very tuned into. I see them just immediately calm it down.
Wow. Uh, I am so looking forward to trying that.
Yeah,
I
you
really am.
should.
I love essential oils. I don't use them as much as I should. I'll
Mhm.
diffuse them, and Young Living, it's a trusted brand. Um,
Yes.
can you, as a starting point, just diffuse oils near your pet. Just put it in the room, just to, just getting, I guess maybe getting them acclimated to something a little bit different like that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I like to actually just have them sniff the bottle, and I'll just leave the bottle open and put it on the floor, and they can come up to it if they want to or walk away. And oftentimes, if you have multiple pets in the home, some will like others more and stuff like that. So you can really test it out, and now you know which one to put on a pet and which one to avoid, and just so that they're getting the best benefit and the most calmness from them.
Interestingly, we're using this to enhance their lives, but you can use essential oils as a repellent, like for cats, to keep them off your furniture. I do that. I found the recipe, mixed it up myself, put it in a spray bottle, a little bit of carrier oil in there, not enough to damage the furniture or whatever.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, it doesn't work. I've tried it multiple times. I've amped up a little bit more of the oils, and I can't lemongrass. I'm trying to remember. Yeah.
Okay.
And the stuff you buy in the store is just that. It's essential oils. That's all it is. So, I wanted to add a little bit more because I'm thinking the stuff I bought, that's not working.
Yeah.
It doesn't deter my cats at all.
So having spoken to one of your cats, I'm actually not surprised at all to hear that. Rocco
Yeah.
was his name? Yes.
Hmm.
Because if you remember him talking about the joy of experience and life and wanting to investigate things and do things and on all the stuff, he's not going to be easily deterred from checking something
No.
out.
And he's strong-willed and he
Yeah.
just wants love and attention. That's what he's doing. And food. But
Yes.
like his new thing is, and we're out of time, but I'll just share it with you. And you explain this without even knowing it, but he now, when I walk into the downstairs bathroom, he rushes in because he wants to jump up on the counter and say, "Here I am, pet me, give me a kiss. I want to kiss you. Here I am." To
Yeah.
the point where I'm like, I almost close the door on him because I don't even know he's moving so fast. So
Yeah.
yes, he's very strong-willed, but his motivation is he just wants attention and just love.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. It's all good things.
It's all good things. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was great today. How do we find you?
My website is Holly Joy Starr, HOLLYJOYSTARR.com. And you can find me on Facebook, Holly Starr Animal Communicator.
Learned a lot today. Didn't even consider the essential oils. Wow. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome. We'll have to dive into this topic more because there's a ton more to share on it.
Yeah,
So
I would love to. I would love to. I know that essential oils are great for humans. And why not our pets? Never even
yes.
considered it. So yeah, maybe next
Yeah.
time. And we'll talk soon, okay?
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
Have a good week.
You too.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.